All right, well, welcome back to the channel. My name is Charlie, and this is the RevOpsCharlie Demo Day series, where I have the huge pleasure in speaking to founders and revenue leaders of technology companies that support the revenue tech stack, and giving you as a potential buyer an insight into how these companies are going to market and a little bit about what the tool looks like. And today, I'm absolutely thrilled to welcome Mike Adams from Introstars to the channel. So, Mike, welcome.
Thanks so much, Charlie. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to talk to you today.
Fantastic. Referrals for me is like very close to my heart. It's what I spent the first sort of 8 years of my career building out a referral program. So I look forward to learning a little bit more. But maybe for those that don't know you, Mike, or don't know Introstars, give a little bit of background to yourself and how you come to the point of founding Introstars and why you've done that.
Sure, Charlie. So I've been in the tech sales and marketing industry for 28 years. I worked in sales and marketing and product management for lots of big tech companies. And about 7 years ago, I became, as part of that, a professional networker. So I went to more than 1,000 networking events in London, doing sometimes up to 15 events a week. I was really crazy, drinking way too much red wine, exchanging business cards with random strangers. And what I realized doing that, speaking to so many people at so many events, is that everyone was looking for the same thing. Everyone was looking for an introduction to someone else. You're always looking for an introduction to a customer, a prospect, an investor, a potential employee, a potential partner. And so I really understood the value of introductions. And that's why I built my entire startup around that. And it's called Introstars, because people making introductions are the stars, right? So Introstars.com, I just launched it in November in London. It's a platform to allow people to post what they're looking for in terms of introductions and pay a referral commission for every successful introduction they receive. And on the other end of the platform, anyone can actually make those introductions as a matchmaker, as an introducer, and get paid significant amount of money for it. So really, it's about putting real value on introductions because they obviously have massive value. This is all based on my personal experience as a networker, working in sales, where you're always looking for more introductions to customers or warm referrals, of course.
So what does that mean, a professional networker? That sounds like an exciting experience that you had doing those 1,000 networking events. What does that entail?
Well, really, I was working in business development. And when you think about business development professionals, you think about people sending 1 million emails and cold calls every single day, right? And that's really what business development looks like in most companies. You target young people fresh out of university to send loads of emails and loads of cold calls. And I wanted to turn that on its head. I don't like to send cold emails. I don't like to do cold calls, just not my style. And instead of that, I started going to networking events to try to meet interesting people who could maybe introduce me to potential clients. And that proved to be extremely successful. And I've built an entire business development strategy around physical in-person networking. And so really being a professional networker, what it means is really working in business development, but doing it face-to-face, day in, day out, going to physical in-person events, talking to interesting people instead of hitting the phones or emails, right? And so really, I discovered there's a secret society of networkers, and many big companies which are looking for very high value deals employ professional networkers, which are highly paid people who go out there every single day to networking events to find out information about companies and see if that could lead to a potential lead for the company. So really an incredible world of networking.
And what did you learn there in terms of the out of the people that are going to those events? Are they all looking to extract connections, or do you find people that get a kick out of going there because they've got the connections to share?
So really, it's a bit of both. It's about using your connections and making new connections. But really, what's important is that when you go to a networking event, you're not expected to actually meet customers there. So you're not selling anything. Never go to a networking event trying to sell something, because people will sniff that out and sense that you're trying to sell them something. That's going to draw them away. And so really, instead of that, instead of trying to sell something or find a customer, you go to networking events to meet other people who could maybe introduce you to someone else, who could introduce you to someone else, and that second degree introduction might become a customer. So it's really about building those networks of people who are well connected and helping each other. I send you a referral, you send me a referral. Let's help each other by connecting more people to each other. Every introduction you make, every connection you make opens up new opportunities, right? And so I'm a strong believer in serendipity. When I go to a networking event, I'm not trying to close deals. I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm just there to have fun, meet interesting people, trying to help them. And serendipitously, they will introduce me to other people, who will introduce me to other people, and those maybe will end up being customers or users. And I think that's really a strategy which pays out really well in the networking world. And so many of these professional networkers, they really work on that. They work on building their network to find out information, to help each other.
And this podcast is serendipity in action, because we both met each other at SaaStr Europa earlier in the summer, just randomly. And, good things happen when you just turn up at events and say hello to people that you've never met before.
Absolutely. I'm so glad to be here today. Thanks to that great networking event. And, we're talking on the terrace. It was a sunny day. We're having a nice drink, and there it is. Now I'm talking to you in a podcast. So it's amazing. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. And so I can imagine that a lot of that networking that you were doing was before the pandemic. And have you seen a lot of that change since then? And maybe that leads into how you've come up with setting up Introstars.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, before the pandemic, London is really one of the capitals of the world for networking. So there's about 50 networking events every single week in London, which sounds crazy. That's because there's networking events in every single industry. There's networking events just for startups, for lawyers, for accountants, for bankers, for commercial real estate, for any industry you can think of, there's networking events. So London is really one of these networking capitals of the world, but obviously most big cities are also networking hubs, right? And so during the pandemic, everyone was obviously focusing on virtual networking, doing virtual catch-ups, but it never really took off. Going to a virtual networking event behind your screen with your camera turned off, it never really took off. No one really enjoyed it that much. We just did it because we had to, right? Now that the pandemic is over, I think people are even more keen than before to go to in-person events. And we see a resurgence of physical in-person networking events even stronger than before the pandemic. And so I think people are even more excited to go outside and meet people in person because of kind of all the missed opportunities they had during the pandemic. And so the fact I've launched Introstars now is not really connected to the pandemic in any way, shape, or form. I had the idea for Introstars 7 years ago when I was networking. However, this is the perfect time to do it because, again, I'm capitalizing on the fact that people are seeking human connections, human interaction, human curation, human one-to-one interactions. And especially now, we're in the age of AI, of artificial intelligence, where everything is AI driven, where everything is automated to a millionth degree. And again, this pushes people in the other direction where they want even more human connection, even more non-AI interactions where everything is about human to human. And I think, again, this is a perfect time to launch Introstars, which is all about human interactions, human connections, and human introductions.
Well, and there's big conversations going on at the moment about how particularly B2B companies are going out to market, and you've got inbound and outbound. Outbound being hammered by these huge volumes of automated spammy emails, and companies like Reveal and Crossbeam have termed nearbound sort of the partnership relationship. So not just inbound and outbound, but who are the people that are already speaking to your customers that can provide you with that kind of warm introduction? And with so many technology companies that a company could possibly choose from, they're looking to that trusted partner, that trusted person that they already work with to say, look, if you're thinking about this type of technology, I'd recommend look at these two. If you're looking at that, I'd recommend looking at those two. So I'm sure you're really capitalizing on a wave that's happening now where the people that are receiving the introductions want to get a sort of refined list rather than having to go and look at a long list of providers themselves.
No, absolutely. People all want human recommendations by someone they trust. So it's all about personal recommendations, personal introductions. That is more important than ever before. And as you said, in this world of AI where you spam day in, day out with millions of emails, the one thing you do want is someone you actually trust and know. So everything is based on trust. No, I believe trust and reputation are the two most important things when you talk about lead generation and referrals. And so that's why I've built Introstars, my own platform, specifically around trust. And that's one of the reasons I've only launched in London so far, to build that trusting circle of people you can actually meet for coffee in person if you want to. And also we're using LinkedIn authentication to use your LinkedIn reputation as a way, again, to build that trust. And that's really important, trust and reputation. When you introduce someone to someone else, your reputation is always on the line. You know, if you make a bad introduction, that could damage your reputation. And so really building everything around reputation and trust encourages good behavior, encourages only good introductions to happen in the best interest of both parties being introduced. And so I think it's kind of a virtuous circle where everyone wants to have a great reputation, a great trusting business relationship with all their peers, and that encourages great introductions and great referrals.
So let's have a think about your ideal customer profile, the people that are signing up either as, I guess, as an introducer or as an introducee. What's your target market and how are you approaching them?
Yeah, so we don't have introducees on the platform. On Introstars, we have intro seekers, who are people looking for introductions. So intro seekers are typically B2B salespeople who are looking for clients, looking for introductions to prospects. So this could be business development managers or SDRs, could be sales leaders, so anyone who is looking for customers really, or even startup founders or entrepreneurs who are looking for introductions to high value customers. And so that's one side of the platform, intro seekers. And then the other side of the platform is introducers, the people actually making introductions. And these are really networkers, people who go to all these networking events, who know everyone, who are super connected. And very often those people are also salespeople. So you could have the same person who works in sales being an intro seeker and an introducer because they want to earn a bit of extra money on the side as introducers, even though in their day job they work in sales. And so I really see my looking for introductions, and then super connected networkers who just want to monetize their network and also help others, because it's not only about earning money, it's about helping other people. Every time you introduce people to each other, you're actually helping them. You create a new opportunity for them. So it's really giving back to the community. It's a win-win situation. And if you make some money in the process, even better, right? It's great, but everyone wins in the process. So to answer your question, my ideal customer profile are really salespeople, lead generation people, SDRs, BDRs, and people who love to connect people.
Yeah, I can imagine. I've always thought about certainly some of these larger enterprise accounts where there's probably hundreds of AEs and CSMs that are inside these accounts because they've already been successful, and then there are tens of thousands of other non-competing products that are trying to get into those accounts, and the inefficiency of everyone doing sort of independent research and mapping out their org charts, when the reality is this information already exists in so many people's heads. I can imagine that being a huge use case. And so when we're thinking about this sort of ideal customer profile for yourself, how are people handling this today if they're not using Introstars?
So right now, really, people think of lead generation is the way to gather those leads and create a pipeline of leads which you're going to work on, right? And so if you think about lead generation, the first thing that pops into most people's head is cold emails and cold calls, right? That is what lead generation is about. And there's lots of lead generation agencies. You can pay them lots of money, and they're going to hire an army of people to do cold calls and cold emails all day long, every day, and hoping a tiny percentage of people will respond to those cold calls and cold emails, and that will be sufficient to build a funnel and a pipeline. But the reality is, people are getting smarter and smarter to block out those incoming calls and emails. And so it becomes a cat and mouse game where people creating lead generation services are using AI to spam more and more people, send more and more messages, and the people receiving those messages are using AI-powered spam bots, spam blockers
Mm.
or firewalls to block all this incoming inbound traffic. And it really becomes a cat and mouse game between the two. And so when people think about lead generation, I think that's what they're thinking about. It's about that, that numbers game, which is all about emails and calls. And so I want to turn this whole idea on its head and change lead generation into a one-to-one warm referral, warm introduction system, where it's really all about, it's not a numbers game. It's about few introductions, which have very high value. We're talking about high value deals where you get a few introductions, but each one is humanly created, has a lot of value, and has been really done by a human and not by a robot, right? So really, I think that's what we need to change really in terms of culture and in terms of strategy for most lead generation people. So yeah, so to answer your question, how people are doing it today, mostly emails and calls. That's what's being done. And I think they need to change that to really work on referrals instead. Go to in-person networking events, build your network, and use tools like Introstars to launch your own referral program.
And I mean, I mentioned some of the partner platforms earlier, like a Reveal or a Crossbeam, which are more company to company or account to account. And then from what I understand, you're more sort of person to person.
Yes.
Is the vision to create an enterprise platform or a company would be a customer of yours, or will it remain individual to individual?
So I've designed Introstars specifically to be human to human. So when you sign up to Introstars, you do not sign up as a company. You sign up as a human being, as an individual. And that is by design, because when you introduce a customer to a company, you really introduce a person to a person. It's not, a company is not this virtual entity. It's actually a human being on the receiving end who's actually going to close the sale, right? And so really, I really designed Introstars to be human to human. Now, if a company with 50 BDRs wants to deploy Introstars, all 50 of these BDRs could create their own profile on Introstars, right? And that's fine. It's perfectly fine. That's great. Not a problem with that. But really, they're going to have to each position themselves as the best person to talk to, because really, it's about human beings. When you think about it, people don't buy from companies, they buy from people, right? We talk to people, we buy from people. It's all about trust. It's not trust in a company, it's trust in a person. It's a person you're going to be talking to. And so really, my whole vision and strategy for Introstars is bringing it back to human and not company to company, right?
And I think about this a lot as we see the rise of AI in so much of marketing and sales activity, that what does it mean to be a human salesperson in an AI-powered world? That if you're just going to be sort of embedded in that AI, well, the machine's going to take on more and more of that later on. But as a human, we can look someone in the eyes, we can understand if they're bored, we can understand if they're confused. We can bring in some experience for something that we did 5-10 years ago that might be relevant here. And so this person to person, this human contact, the being able to be in front of someone physically, is something that AI can never recreate. And that's what it's going to take for us to be humans in this future. So I totally understand that.
Also, it's about having fun in the process. When you talk to a person, sometimes you enjoy, speaking with them, meeting with them. You enjoy their energy, their charisma. There is something uniquely human which AI cannot replicate. So if it's purely transactional, sure, AI can do it great. It's a click on a button to buy something online. Of course, AI can do that. But when you talk about complex deals, when you talk about very high value deals, it's essential to human interaction, because you want that extra emotion in the transaction. At the end of the day, people don't want to admit it when you work for a big company that emotions come into play, but they 100% do. In every large deal, emotion come into play. You wouldn't admit it because no, it's all about the numbers, but it's not. It is emotion, especially for large deals. And so really, that's why the human interaction is so important.
Yeah, there's this stat. I can't remember the exact number or the source, but I think it was a Gartner one that said something like 60% of millennial buyers would prefer a salesperson-free buying process. But I think that misunderstands a little bit. They want a bad salesperson free process. Once you're in front of someone that really does understand your business and can really help you, then people want that person because they understand the nuance of how they can help their business move forwards. And I think it's just going to reconfirm that you've got to be really good at helping your customer solve their problem. And if you do that, they'll end up buying from you. If you're just a outbound email machine, then they can get away without that.
Absolutely, but also we have to differentiate between different types of solutions you're buying. If it's to buy something simple, I prefer that there is no human involved. I just click on a button. I prefer that myself. But here we're talking about larger deals. We're talking about deals above £10,000 or more. So then it's obviously much more complex deals where there's so much nuance, where you can't just buy online with one click, right? Because it's so complicated and complex deals, complex products, complex solutions. So that's where you really want to have that human interaction, right? So again, it's not all or nothing, right? I think for smaller deals, smaller, simple products, I prefer to not have any human involved, right? I prefer to just click on a button on the website. Much prefer that. But again, we're talking about much more complex deals, high value deals, high added value. That's where you do want to have humans, right? So we appreciate that.
Yeah, now, if you're up for it, I would love to see your screen, and maybe you can show us a little bit of the Introstars platform and maybe what that experience would be like as an intro seeker or an introducer.
Let's do it. So here's the Introstars website. So it's very easy. It's introstars.com. So very easy to remember.
Okay.
Really, the website is gearing to two different audiences. On the one hand, you've got intro seekers, people looking to receive introductions. Again, these are typically salespeople, startup founders, recruiters, property owners who are looking for a buyer, etc. And then you've got the introducers, right? You really want to cater to both audiences. So to sign in or sign up to Introstars, we use LinkedIn authentication. So it's one click using your LinkedIn login, and that's for security purposes and also to make sure we build trust and reputation, right? So I just click on sign in. And when you sign in, the first thing you see is a list of opportunities from all the intro seekers out there. So in this scenario, I'm an introducer. I want to earn money on the side as a side hustle, earn a few £1,000s for every introduction I make. So I can simply browse through what people are looking for and how much they're ready to pay for each introduction. So in this example, you can see that Gabriel is looking for international tech startup founders expanding into the UK, and he pays up to 1.8K referral fee. If I scroll down, you see there's lots and lots and lots of opportunities. There's a lot here. We're here looking at Zach as an example. He's looking for supply chain logistics directors, and he pays up to £5,000 per introduction. So let's say I went to university, was one of my friends, and he's now a supply chain manager in a big manufacturing company. Let's click on learn more. So you can see here a bit more of a description of what Zach is looking for, right? You can see who Zach is, what he sells in terms of product and services. I can message Zach here to say, hey, Zach, I just saw your opportunity on Introstars. I'd love to go for coffee to get to know you a bit better or do a quick Zoom call. And then I can make an introduction to actually introduce someone to Zach. So if I click on make introduction, I can simply fill out a form with the details of the person I want to introduce, the lead, and just submit it. And then once I've made that submission, I go to my intro tracker where I can track every introduction I've made and received, right? This is just a demo account, so that's why there's nothing there. And so in this intro tracker, you can make sure you remember every introduction you made and received. So it makes it very easy to then get paid those for those introductions, right? So if you scroll down, you can see there's lots and lots of different types of intro seekers. There's lots of different amounts. Some can be quite significant. So Ahmed here is paying up to £13,000 for an introduction. You see here Charles pays up to £10,000 per introduction. So you can see there's really significant revenue you can make as an introducer. Now, if you want to create your own opportunity here, you want to be an intro seeker, right? You simply go all the way on top and click on create my own opportunity. And here you can simply list what you're looking for. So the headline would be the job titles you're looking for, the industry, the sector, the size of the company, the location, and then fill out your opportunity. Once you fill it out, your opportunity then appears in the list of opportunities. Here, just go back. Whoops. It's my homepage. So anyway, you get the point. It's really
Yeah.
about browsing opportunities from other people or creating your own opportunity. As simple as that. It really is a very simple user experience. As an introducer, it literally clicks you're in, browse what people are looking for, send them a quick message to introduce yourself, and then make an intro. As an intro seeker, you just create a post, an opportunity, publish it, and then people will see what you're looking for and send you introduction. Very, very simple.
And I totally get the use case of, someone I went to school or university with, but when I think about connections that I might have made through the course of my job, do you see that there's any sort of compliance or sort of governance issues where an individual is getting compensated and not the company themselves?
Yeah, I mean, really, it depends on your employment contract. It depends. If you met someone at a networking event, that person, technically, their contact details are more part of your network and not your company's network. However, if you go on the CRM system of your company to find someone and then reach out to them, then it's a bit more of a gray area, because then you're kind of reaching out to your company's contacts. So that's why it's so important to build your own personal network, right? Not rely on the company contacts of the CRM of your employer, but more build your own personal network by going to networking events, using LinkedIn, of course, as a super LinkedIn user. That's really what you should be doing to avoid those kind of gray areas. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's been fantastic, Mike, for giving us the background and then showing us a little bit of the platform. So how do people get in touch with you or with Introstars?
So best way to find me is on LinkedIn. I'm a huge LinkedIn user. So if you just look for my name, Mike Adams, you should find me really easily. I'm usually the first search results. If not, just type Mike Adams Introstars and you will definitely find me. And I would love for you to try the website, introstars.com. It's free to sign up as an introducer. So you can click, in 3 clicks you're in. You can start using it right away. If you want to be an introducer, an intro seeker, if you want to look for introductions, you pay £95 per month to publish what you're looking for and pay introduction fees on success. But again, it's free to browse an introducer, free for life. So make sure to try it out, at least as an introducer for sure.
Brilliant. And we'll add all of those links into the show notes. So with that, Mike, thanks so much for joining the podcast, joining the video series, and look forward to catching up with you in person again soon.
Thank you so much, Charlie. Great speaking to you. Have a great day. Take care.
Cheers.